So I want to talk about the idea that sex should never hurt. A friend of mine was chatting with her 16-year-old daughter, and they were talking about sex, and her daughter said, well, it hurts because it hurts in the beginning. That's normal. But it shouldn't. It should never hurt, whether we're in a heterosexual partnership or a same-sex couple. Sex should never hurt. Historically, when all that mattered was sort of that procreative sex to have babies, then maybe it didn't matter. But in today's day and age, it should never hurt. And the reason is that if it hurts, it means that whoever's receiving isn't ready at all, right? If you imagine that inside the womb, we are the same until we become gendered. We have the same amount of erectile tissue that eventually becomes a penis in a male baby. The feminine child, all that erectile tissue becomes part of her yoni, part of her vagina, clitoral system, the urethral sponge, all these kinds of things. So basically, we have as much erectile tissue as a man. If we're having sex and it hurts, essentially what that means is if we were a man, we wouldn't have a hard-on, right? Because as soon as we are actually engorged, right, which means the lips engorge, the urethral sponge, the sponge around the urethra engorges, which creates the G-spot. If you don't think you have a G-spot, you might not have ever been aroused enough for it to actually become engorged. When all of this engorges, we naturally become wet. It's not a thing. It's not a thing to, oh my God, she's squirting, this is the orgasm. The wetness comes with the engorgement. It comes with our actual ability to become aroused. It's natural. And if it's not there, and if our yoni, our vagina, isn't saying, oh my God, I want this inside of me, we essentially don't have a hard-on. Like, we essentially are not aroused. We may love this person. We may truly want to be intimate. But intercourse, we're not ready for that yet. It's funny, when I was growing up, the big thing, if you were going to become sexually active, is you had to make sure you had a condom and lube, right? Well, the very fact that teenagers were told you had to have condom and lubrication meant that on some level, the women were not lubricated. It was some kind of cultural norm that, well, if she's not wet, just lubricate her, because her actual arousal was irrelevant. And there's always exceptions. Don't get me wrong. There's been great lovers in all time. But as a society, in many, many, many cultures, here in North America, we're very blessed. And there's many cultures right now where certainly the women's arousal is irrelevant. So this does live in the consciousness. So the key is, it should never, ever hurt. And if it does, it means we maybe just stop for a minute and go, wait a minute, you know what? I need to play a bit. I need to kiss some more. I need to touch. I'm just not feeling it. The other piece is, whether this is same-sex or heterosexual relationship, we have lived in a way completely separate from each other. So we also make love, or we have sex separately. You're this, I'm this, I please you, you please me, all this stuff. And when we're separate, we can't feel each other, right? We can't feel each other's pleasure or happiness or sadness because we don't want to, right? And so then it's really easy to actually have sex with someone even if it hurts the other person. But if we actually have union, if we're actually connected, which is really what's rising today, and the goal of relationships is to have this amazing union, because that's what makes us happy. That's what fills our soul. That's what we're actually seeking in real intimacy. In true union, you feel what the other person feels. So no one would ever be able to have sex with you and it hurt, because it would hurt them, right? So I just wanted to share this. If the idea of all of this erogenous tissue and erectile tissue is new, I definitely recommend my friend Sherry Winston, her book, Women's Anatomy of Arousal. It is a book that I wish I had read a long, long time ago. But just to really think about it. And this goes for all ages. You know, I began this discussing a 16-year-old's perspective. But I can't tell you how many women my own age and older I've talked about this with, and they're like, really? It should never hurt? And it means that I'm not actually aroused? Wow. It's a really important thing for us to know.